Hello?
Hello, Jughead. This is Archie. Come over right away. It's a matter of life or death.
Oh, relax, Archie.
Attention, all true believers. Marvel Comics is on the air.
The friend of the unfortunate, enemy of criminals. In reality, Dan Garrett, a rookie patrolman, loved by everyone but suspected by none of being the Blue Beetle.
Boys and girls, your attention, please. Presenting a new exciting radio program featuring the thrilling adventures of an amazing and incredible personality. Faster than an airplane, more powerful than a locomotive, impervious to bullets.
Up in the sky, look!
It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman!
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
How are you doing? It is another day in paradise, comic book paradise. I got to do a cool career day today at one of the local intermediate schools, which means those kids are really firmly thinking about what they want to do for a career. Unfortunately, I had competition. On one side, I had a data scientist, like how do you compete with data science? And on the other side with the FBI, so I lost. When you could be a comic book store owner, why would you want to talk to the FBI? This is my way of saying, hey, if you have community stuff that you get asked to do, remember what it was like to be a kid and how cool it was when those people showed up. So if you have a career, even if you don't think it's cool, kids will think it's cool. So show up for your kids' school. That's the end of my messages about that. How was your week, Shanice?
Pretty good. Happy that it's not like boiling hot. It is not raining, at least not yet.
It is true. It's very moderate here in Houston. It's usually either 1,000,000 degrees or 1,000,000 degrees with humidity. And those are the only two choices, but it's been really moderate. So it's very nice. I just want to say hi to everyone that's on today. Mr. Nope, thank you so much for your continued support of our channel. It is folks like you that keeps us going. Andrew will be is here, and who else? I didn't see. It all kind of like moved up higher today. Oh, Ken K, that's right. Hey, Ken.
Yeah, Barlord too is here too.
Oh, and Barlord. If you guys could take a second and give everybody a share, throw some hearts up there for producers. I think it's Jay today. They make everything run really smoothly. There's a bunch of comic books this week. I know that last week your head exploded from all the really great stuff that came out. Did you guys get to pick up the first part of Hush 2, or did you get to pick up the first Absolute Martian Manhunter? Or I feel like there was a ton of other really great stuff. Oh, the new Absolute Wonder Woman. What else? There was 2 really big indies that came out. Do you remember anything else that was like, man?
Ultimate Spider-Man came out.
It's Ultimate Spider-Man, yeah. We've got another big week this week, including talk about Absolute Green Lantern. It does not let you down, I promise. We both read it because we can't stop it. So we will give you good reviews about all this stuff. We're going to keep it as spoiler free as possible for you guys, although we're both very excited about everything. So it's a surprise. Oh, and I guess we're going to start out strong. All right, you start.
Okay. So Absolute Green Lantern #1. I don't know what really to say about it. So going into it, I knew it's going to be a horror comic, but complimentary. It was darker than what I was expecting, and I do like how, like with the other absolutes, just a change to the Green Lantern mythos. I'm intrigued, and I kind of want to see what else is revealed. And it's cool to see like the characters that you're familiar with just be familiar, but at the same time not. You know what I mean? But there's something I do want to ask you. I actually kind of want to know what your take was on it.
So, no matter which kind of Lantern fan you are, if you're for Hal or John or Kyle, I think those are all mentioned, right? You don't get to see all of them in this book.
Yeah.
But you get to see the people. You don't get to see them as lanterns. Just full warning. There's not a lot of like, you're not going to see lanterns being lanterns in this book. This is a complete kind of like, this is terrifying, kind of like new look at them dealing with something they don't understand at all. So if you're a fan of any of those three, you're going to really like this. I'm a Jon Stewart fan, so I just really wanted him to be part of this, even though I know that the lantern that they've been talking about is the young lady on the front cover who has a really cool name, and I can't remember it right now.
Joe, if you've read is it Mars Sector, then you know who she is. Like,
oh, okay.
It's definitely like, I'm really interested in seeing like just what Green Lantern fans in particular, how they feel about this issue, because I feel like out of all the absolutes, well, I can't say they've all been like pretty wild, like with the world building, and it's just like this is another entry where I'm like, I know it's the same shared universe, but it doesn't feel like it. They all feel like just all totally different, and while it is darker, some are, it's like, oh, this is too bad, and others are like, oh, this is like cosmic horror, like body horror. So like, I'm very interested in where this goes. I'm not sure if this is going to be a mini series or now, like with like how someone mentioned in the comments, Absolute Martian Manhunter got extended, so I'm not sure if this is going to be ongoing or a max series or not. But I want more of it because I really did like it a lot.
Yeah. So the best comparison I can make here is the feeling that I had when I was reading it. It is scary, but it's not just like super like, oh, and I can't sleep tonight. To me, it was almost like I felt a little bit more related to, do you guys remember the old Incredible Hulk story where like every single episode was like made you really sad because he like had to leave and was walking away? Like it has that kind of feeling at the beginning, but someone walking into the story. So it's like, am I just watching this from the opposite view? It's just a feeling. It's not that they're trying to say that, of course, because they're different universes, different companies, so they would never do such a thing. But if I don't hear about an Absolute Crisis book anytime soon, Barlord doesn't want that. Glad to see it won't be campy. No, it's definitely not campy. Part of it takes place in a diner, but it's like all of the good diner, like scary things. Like, I don't know, wasn't there a Twilight Zone that was a really good diner one? There's stuff going on that no one understands. And it's bigger than like just where they are. There's something happening other places that they don't really address.
Right. It's just like, I guess one more thing, because I know we can talk about it like on the whole show. It's
this
like,
is the big book, so
it's interesting because kind of going from like the previews and the art styles, the tone is what's like really getting to me, because the story, it is pretty dark, but the art style, which I absolutely love, you're kind of expecting kind of like a more like action,
sure,
like, you know, like actiony comic, and not like dread that you feel when you read this book. Yeah, like I really want to know like what y'all's thoughts are like next week, or you know, like in the comments. I got y'all read it tomorrow.
I will give you one spoiler, and it's not spoilery at all, because you know this could happen in any time in any book. There is somebody who hits a solid object so hard that they pulp themselves. So when we're talking about there's body horror, that's what we mean.
It's like,
Yeah, that doesn't usually happen in DC where they just let you see a pulped body. Everything does. Okay, so I will tell you guys, this may not be on anyone else's new book list for the week, but for us, I've been wanting to try at this company called Silver Sprocket. So they are a really awesome company, I think, out of San Francisco. They tend to gravitate toward really independent, like even more than usual independent creators, and that have a little more adult like vision for their books. So some of them are very relational, which I also dig those. But I saw this one, which also includes like stickers, which the stickers are really funny. And they're very, in your face, like you wouldn't leave them around for your parentals, I guess. But this one's pretty trippy. It's about, so the creaturey person on the front there that looks like a chicken, for lack of a word. Imagine these are animals doing people things. So it's never addressed that they're animals at all. It's just them. That's the way they look. He is kind of he's like the worst employee ever, we'll say. You meet him and he is has just shared an overnight with the other character here on the front cover, and he goes off to work and leaves her at his house with his not roommate, who is a female who also just sleeps there, not with him, I guess. So he goes off to work, who is the worst employee ever at the sandwich shop. He was like, his boss needs to go and run an errand, and he says, well, what would I do while you're gone if someone wants a sandwich? So he just doesn't even know how to do a sandwich. And while the boss is gone, something really crazy happens. And it sets him on a weird trajectory. It involves money. I mean, before that, he actually makes himself a sandwich because he says that his entire purpose in life is to grift from his employer. So, quality individual. But anyway, this is like stick it to the man kind of. If I ever, found many monies, what would I do with it? It is very fun, but also not for everybody. It is a pretty thick book, honestly. It's worth its price point of $7.99. So if you can find it out there, like I say, I don't think it actually releases this week. I think it was something we ordered because I'd always wanted to try out this company, and it just came this week. So try some cool stuff.
Okay, Star Trek Lore War. So as a heads up with this one, you really should be reading like the ongoing Star Trek series along with Star Trek Defiant. But if you aren't reading those, IDW is very kind to put a timeline to kind of explain what's going on so you're not lost, which I really appreciated. So I think it's generally one of those, if you're not reading Star Trek, any other titles right now, but you watch the show, I would still give this a shot. It really is interesting seeing just lore just go just off the wall insane and just rewrite reality. And it's like, oh, I know this character, but they're not doing what they should be doing, and it's weird. And yeah, it's very good. Like it's essentially just like a Star Trek crossover event. So for the Trekkies, definitely check this out. If you want to start reading Star Trek comics, I don't know if this might be the best one, but if you watched any of the shows, and I mean generally any series of Star Trek, definitely check it out because it had some really fun cameos in it, and it's like, wait, how are you here? You were in a fairly recent Star Trek series. I don't really want to spoil it because it really did surprise me seeing that character. But I think you would have liked it.
Shh, don't tell them there's a spoiler. They might not even notice. Might not notice. Leave them alone. Maybe they're not watching it on a big screen. I will say that IDW has been doing Trek for a while, and I like that they've narrowed it down to, I think they've got 3 kind of storylines going on now. One's based on this show, the Below Decks. So I don't count that one in there. But they've had the Defiant running on in the main storyline. And I think that's it, right?
I think so.
I think that's all of them. But they have like, I like how they do it where they like make big story arcs. So you could, even if you wanted to just jump into the Defiant storyline, they actually say at the very top of the book, like part 2 of this storyline. So you don't have to get all the way back to number 1, which would be really hard at this point because they're pretty far in.
Right.
You can just enjoy a story.
You just kind of go from there.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, okay. So the main cover for this one is actually Mark Spears. So I'm going to show that to you just so you don't miss it because there's a lot of you guys that are Spears fans. So look at that. Okay. I will tell you right now, I am not normally a person who can be talked into liking Vampirella books. Every once in a while, I'll see a Vampirella and try it and be like, I feel like I need to have a primer for all the history of Vampirella to understand what in the world she's doing right now. But this one is actually really good because it does tie into previous lore for her in which she fights Draculina to get her, like, Vampirella's own child back. So think toddler or younger. Like, it's weird because sometimes in the images he's standing up, and I was like, well, he has to be a year old if he's standing. But I don't know. I don't know how old he's really supposed to be. But it's interesting to me, this storyline, because I've had my own children. Those early days when you haven't quite made a good connection, they're sometimes, especially if they're having, I forgot what it's called when they just can't, they cry all the time and they just can't self-soothe. If you have a baby like that and you don't know what you're doing, even if you're as old as she is, it's stressful. It's very stressful. So you actually see her in her, like, at her worst. She's having a really hard time and has started to question, like, why did I battle to get this kid back? I don't know what I'm doing. She has a babysitter that she really relies on. And also it's kind of cool. It talks a little bit more about her lore. Like she makes the kind of observation. It's like, why, if I'm supposed to be a vampire, can I see myself in reflection, like in mirrors? This doesn't make any sense, that there's something different about me. And there's another comment made by a character later on, which also questions, like, is she a vampire? And then they call her something else, which I'm like, oh, wait a minute. There's something else going on here that might be even cooler. This does have a character show up in the book. Almost, it's not like in Labyrinth where, the Goblin King shows up and takes the baby. But he does show up when you're like, where's this guy coming from? And that is a big twist that happens. You don't find out about it until a few pages from the end. This is worth a read, y'all. If you don't know anything about Vampirella, you can totally jump into this book. It's got gorgeous art, and it made a convert out of me. I will probably have to read this series to try to figure out what's going on. And here's the deal. It's Christopher Priest. So if you have never read Christopher Priest anything, you should. Shame on you. Go back and read the Black Panther work that he did. But also, he has done Vampirella before, and that run was very successful, or those runs were very successful. So give this one a chance. If you haven't tried it out yet, this might be your jam. Oh, and for me again. Okay, so this is G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe is going to do some cool silent mission books. This one's the one for Beachhead. The most famous G.I. Joe silent issue is G.I. Joe 21, I believe, and that was a Storm Shadow one. Everybody wants it. I actually had someone come and ask for it today, and I have had one before we sold ours, but it has a really nice cover. But fun fact, today there is a facsimile of that book being released. So you can actually get the silent issue of G.I. Joe the vintage one without having to pay the $100+ it would take you to actually acquire it. So you can buy that today tomorrow, and this tomorrow. My brain is all for which day it is. So this one is a complete silent issue. It's really well done, super well done. You will easily follow the story. There are some really good emotional hits in this. It takes a lot of skill to make a completely silent book, especially if you're like, okay, you can't just take out make a word book and then take out the words and be like, okay, let's see if people can figure it out without the cues. It's a different kind of being able to write and to script. So if you ever wanted to make comic books yourself, you get to be pooped. If you ever wanted to make comic books, but you wanted to see what masterful writing and layout look like, this one is probably a good place to just have an example for it. And it's Joe. We call Eddie the Streak. Why?
I was a fashion school serial killer. So as you can tell by the cover, you already know what this title is about. I just picked it up, not really looking at seeing what she was sewing. So it's oh, this is Skin. Yikes. But yeah, it's about a young woman. She goes to fashion school because that's what she wants to do, and she also moonlights as a killer. But my thing is, I don't know if she would actually count as a serial killer. I think this might be like a misdirection. I'm only saying that because she does kill people, but she's not going after the people who she is killing. They do deserve it. So I'm wondering if this is going to be some sort of surprise. It wasn't her; it was somebody else. I liked it a lot. It's dark. It's also pretty funny, and she genuinely is likable. So I kind of know. Yeah, I kind of want to know what her whole deal was. You didn't like her, or did you read it?
No, I didn't read it. I just if they made her a sympathetic character.
Yeah, because right off the bat, the first person she kills, it's okay, I know this person deserved, but
doing a service for the community.
A little bit, yeah. just clean the streets. That's as bad as it sounds. And
Did she kill them right away, or is a Silence of the Lambs situation where it puts the lotion in the basket?
No, right away. Just no. But yeah, I'm really curious about where this goes. I know that's something that I'm going to say about quite a lot of books today, but it's got a strong enough premise and a strong enough hook. I feel that I really do want to check this out again. It's from the creative team of Plastic, I believe, and Vinyl. Yeah.
Is it? No wonder.
The artist looks very familiar.
I should have totally read this one. I'll go back. Let's all play lambs. Okay, I had the true honor of getting to talk to Thomas Healy, who this is his writing. Normally, you see his work as an editor, longtime editor of Spawn. This is his writing on this Spawn character named Nyx. Now, if you're reading Spawn now or have been for the last couple of years, you know that there was a story arc recently in which Spawn had the opportunity to take over the throne of hell, but instead, through many issues, decided to give it up, and it ended up going to Nyx, who was previously called She-Spawn. So this is storyline that happens pre that era. So it goes back and touches in on some earlier issues of Spawn in the 100s range. So this book is really important to the Spawn universe because, as Mr. Healy said in our interview, which you can go back and watch on the channel, he gave us a lot of big spoilers for the Spawn universe, including what he told me I could tell you, which is the Spawn universe has never before had a magic component to it. It's always been heaven and hell, right? Any magics that kind of happened were just powers imbued to Spawn by Melbolgia, or Violator's powers, or the angels from heaven, or those kinds of characters, right? This introduces the actual event of people using Wiccan magic, and which she does. So, but you also find out that there are more than just her. And it kind of opens up a whole new kind of like world for the characters in the Spawn universe. So this feels like a very important book for anybody that collects. Oh, thank you so much. So it was really easy to go find kind of higher up on the watching queue for the EXP, so you can go grab it. I highly recommend watching it because I don't want to spend too much time on it here, but there are other big stories, including the story about how Mr. Healy was supposed to be writing another big story arc, which is Spawn 77, and what happened to change that. It's all good, by the way. What it's like to work at the company that Mr. McFarlane runs, what's it like to work for him. And there was a solid interview with Adam. Awesome. That's perfect. So anyway, this is so grab it up and stick it away for posterity, or just enjoy reading it because it's part of the big plan in Spawn. This is part of the Spawn universe. Oh my goodness. Okay. Is everyone caught up with Absolute Superman up to here? Just tell me if you aren't caught up to the last issue, because I don't want to talk about something that happens last issue, even though I need to be able to describe this book. Because in last issue, they had a big storyline that actually went back to the destruction of Krypton and why and how it was destroyed. That it should have been something that could have been prevented, but it was not. And it will really tell you, it will explain more about how he got his power. It explains that probably he's the only person to have made it off of his planet, and why. So it's really tragic. So please go back and read that issue. It's so heartbreaking. And it will also explain why he keeps on having this narration voice that only he can hear. Because you find out about, I can't say it unless I know for sure. You guys already read that one. So I'm going to let it go. I'm going to leave that. So this one actually goes back and talks about from the point at which he lands in the farm, how it happened to surprise his parents. But in this version, he doesn't get raised by the Kents. He does get kind of like his Ma Kent actually, says we got to help this kid. He might just be an angel that's come to save us, because the storyline is that it's the big corporation that's like messing with everybody. Leviathan. I think I'm getting that wrong, maybe. But remember, they're like a really bad kind of like ruling entity in this world's Earth, and they are messing around with the Kent's ability to successfully run their farm, because they would like to buy their farm, so they're screwing around with them. So this is a lot more development for like how he becomes part of being on Earth and how he fits in, and gives you more insight into that evil corporation or ruling entity, whatever it's really called, and more about him himself.
Oh man. Okay, so Resurrection Man, Quantum Karma. So I wasn't too familiar with his character, like at all. But Ron V's anything he writes is gold. And so if you're not familiar with the character, just something that I learned today. So he's someone who can't die. It's Resurrection Man. But every time he dies, his power resets. So it can be something else. So like it could be telepathy, or he dies, it's fire, and it's exactly like this is so perfect for him. And this is a series I can see as like a good like introduction to this character, and a run in a book that can bring this character back into other titles. Because again, I'm the DC person here at the store, but this is someone I'm like, okay, I remember reading about them before, but I've never actually read anything about this person. But yeah, like starts off, and this isn't a spoiler, starts off with him dying, but then coming back. But the context of it is heartbreaking, and you immediately start to you understand like this is something that's happened to him just for a very long time, and it still eats at you, right? Like that has to do something to you mentally and emotionally, and to those around you, like that you die, you come back. There's an incident that happens in his past that is going to come back in a major way. And that's all I can really say about it, because I really don't want to spoil this one. This is one I would recommend, going into completely blind. And it's interesting that like that the two books that freaked me out the most were both from DC. Like this is like, it's genuinely like, it's a terrifying, it's a comic that really did scare me a little bit. And I don't really scare all that easy. But yeah, it's interesting. Like it's dark, and there's some images in here that it's like, okay, this is DC's Black Label, and they really like
leaned in.
Yeah, really leaned into it. Yeah, it's very good. Like you don't have to know anything about this character really, like but I would recommend it, and I'm definitely gonna bother Jen tomorrow and say, "Hey, did you read it? Did you read it? Did you read it?"
Yeah, take it home with me.
Yeah. It is regular size, something I was very happy about.
They're moving away
Yeah.
from that like larger size one, I think, from feedback from retailers and that feedback you've given to us. So I think they're reserving those bigger sizes for maybe stuff that really has to have a visual component. I just haven't seen them do it for anything except for Superman, the Lex Luthor one that's running right now. But I think that was because it started last year when that format was still around more prominently. I will have to say, I learned from Ron B when this is me talking to him maybe 3 or 4 years ago, whenever his really cool vampire book was out. And I was asking him about, like, there's a big story thing in there where he kills a very important character. And I asked him, I said, why would you do that? You make us love a character so much and then you kill it. He's like, that's the first rule of writing. You kill what they love. So this allows him to kill what we love over and over. He's real good at making you care. So, all right, I'm going to be real about it. I started reading this book. It's actually a very thick book. It's not like a normal, like, hey, this is a book about a video game that you love. We're just going to like throw a couple pages at it and put a bunch of ads in it. That's not what's going on in this. I started reading it and I was like, I think this would make much more sense to me if I'd actually play the game, because there's a bunch of characters that are like mix-ups of other characters from the Marvel universe, but not from any books that I remember seeing. So it does look like a lot of fun, but I was like, okay, I have a ton of books to read this week, so I can't fully go into this one. There was the only thing you really need to know is Jeff the Land Shark's in it. They could just like do away with all the rest of the characters, as far as I'm concerned. Just Jeff the Land Shark. And this one, so when they announced this book, we as retailers approached our liaison at Marvel and asked very sweetly. It was like it very clearly would make sense for you guys to put some kind of code in here that gives people that buy the comic book something cool in the game. So there is an actual code inside the book that once you buy it, you can peel off the little code and use it in the game that gives Jeff the Land Shark some kind of unlimited eating or something. Changes him to be unlimited something, which probably breaks the game. But if you, I can guarantee you, if you're playing the game, or if your kids are playing a game, or if you know someone who's playing the game, they will want this book. So don't miss getting it. I'm pretty sure comic book stores knew the importance of getting multiple copies of this for you guys. So you should be okay. Turn him into Jaws. I just, you know me, I just can't get over his toe beans. I don't know who made that design decision, but it's brilliant.
For sure. Like, if y'all play Marvel Rivals, who do y'all main? Just out of curiosity in the comments, because I like playing Rocket Raccoon. He's fun. He's a healer.
Oh.
But but Luna Snow, I definitely agree with that. I like her so much as a character. I'm really glad that she's in this game because, we've had like people ask us, "Hey, where can I read her books?" It's like, here you go, Ages of Atlas. Yeah,
that is the other thing that's cool. Like usually we don't see people come in and look for source material, except for usually TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
So to see people being excited about it through a video game makes me really happy, because there's nothing more than I like to hand people source material for something so they can also be cool and nerdy. Okay, there are 2 stories in this book. I will tell you, this might be a book you would normally pass over because it's Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur 10th anniversary special. But I will tell you, the second story specifically introduces brand new characters. Imagine if you took Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur and changed their names, switched one for the other, and you came up with something like Devil Girl and Moon Dinosaur. That's the second story. And it's really, really great. But the first story is about the Luna's trying to gather together a bunch of things you wouldn't normally think anyone would give her. She's looking for, she doesn't call it this, she calls it something else, but she wants the Eye of Agamotto from Doctor Strange. She wants some important thing from the Fantastic Four that I wasn't familiar with. She wants Cap's shield. I think there's one more thing. But, she's probably the smartest of all the Marvel characters, or at least close. And so I don't know if she's using some power to make them more open to giving her these things, but they do show up with them. And but she's using them for something else. It's a really cute reason. This book is a really fun read. It would be a good thing to hand, because since I think it's just a single shot thing, you could probably just hand it to anybody you want to get introduced, because it also has, as they introduce each of the things she's asking for, it does the cool editing thing, which I really like, where it actually has a little asterisk and it says where you could find the first appearance of that thing. Of course, most of them are in books that are more expensive than I can afford. But no, it's not a T-Rex. So the moon dinosaur is pterodactyl. So if you like pterodactyls.
Okay, I just have to say that was probably the best pterodactyl impression I think I've ever seen in my life.
Would you have known it if it was a silent comic?
Probably not, but that was great. I need to clip that out.
Can't believe it's been 10 years since our introduction. Time really flies. I'm so sorry. You can. My bad. So Ironheart Bad Chemistry. So this one I'm really conflicted about.
Oh.
I I adore her character. I like her character so much, but this is one it kind of left me cold a little bit. And granted, I never wanted to be something that like, well, I thought it was going to go this way, but the writers didn't write it this way, so therefore, like, it's bleh. But I don't know, when I saw this was like a one shot, I thought it was going to be like a good, like, hey, she's got a show coming out. If you want to learn more about this character, this is an excellent introduction. But this is something that I think you may want to read the Free Comic Book Day book that she had that came out 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm not sure if that's like the best way to go about it.
Looks like this design for the costume is more on line with what the show is showing us.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, if you're following Ironheart, if you've read her books, then like you'll be fine with it. But I feel like if this is a book that you see like, oh, this is a one shot. My daughter liked her, or my kid liked her in Black Panther 2. I'll pick this up for her, or for them, it's gonna be like, oh, I'll be, I think they'll be lost. So it's not a bad issue, but it just throws so much at you. It's like, hey, do you know this? Do you know that? It's like, no, like I am very lost right now. This is just, and then it's gonna do so. You'll have to do like some research to really fully enjoy this one shot, which, being comic store employees, we kind of have to do that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I feel like if you're picking this up, just like, oh, this is a cool character, it's a one shot, easy. You're gonna be like, what is happening here? Our
Lord doesn't like her armor in Panther 2.
That's fair. But something I did like in it, I like when comic book villains are just cartoonishly evil. Like, just like, not in a way like, oh, they're terrible people. They're just like, this is like, you just kind of have to laugh. Like, this is just so petty. And the villain in this book,
steal the last bit of toilet paper from the bathroom stall. That kind of evil, that's true evil.
Kind of evil. They just bring up Cyclops just for no reason during conversation.
That's right.
Mustache twirling evil. Like me. Spin them on a railroad like track is evil. Like that. That's actually a good example. But yeah, like if you're an Ironheart fan, pick this up. If you've been following what's been happening with her, if you're not familiar with her and you want to check her out, this is not the best issue. And I feel bad for being super.
It's all right.
Yeah,
you gotta be real. Hey, you gotta put up Eddie's joke, because that joke is awesome. I'm sure everyone else read it in the comments, but why can't you hear a pterodactyl in the bathroom? The P is silent. Brilliant. Okay. I know you guys have been waiting for this one. Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe one last time. Because he killed it, and then he killed it again. And I think that's it, right? Kills the Marvel Universe. Marvel kills the Marvel Universe again. I think that's it. Okay. So this is the third. The trifecta of killing the Marvel Universe. So the story with Deadpool is, because he can't die, he's always trying to figure out a way he can actually kill himself, because he would like to die at some point. So he's done things like, there was a really great series that he did where he thought to himself, well, since he breaks the fourth wall all the time, he's like, I'm in literature. So if I kill all the great literature creators, then literature won't exist. So no one would have written me. So then I won't exist. Right. So goes and kills Shakespeare, and I forgot the guy who wrote Moby Dick. I'm sure that'll come to me when I'm really trying it. But anyway, so he's always looking for ways. And I'm sure that him killing the Marvel Universe the first two times was all about him trying to figure out, like, okay, well, if the Marvel Universe doesn't exist, then I won't need to exist. So this one's actually different. He kind of gets approached by someone to go and basically gets given, thank you, Herman Melville, I appreciate that, gets given a list of characters that he needs to go make hits on. And they're interesting people. So it's some from like our universe, our Earth, whatever, and some from other ones, right? So you might see the Spider Slayer, for example. I'll give you one spoiler, Spider Slayer. So this is it's very interesting in that when he gets approached to do this, he's shown up on, I guess, a Earth or planet in which there are quite a lot of Deadpools that have already been killed. Well, yeah, I mean, wrote about catching a big fish in a lot less words. It's true. But it's all metaphoric. Metaphoric for the big white whale. Okay. So this one's a great start. It does have a twist at the end where what he thinks is happening is not really happening. He has that realization. But if you like watching Deadpool kill characters that you love or maybe don't love in really extreme ways, this should have a parental warning on it, which I don't see on it. That's weird because usually they put a mature audiences stuff on Deadpool books. But for your mature kids, they will love it.
So there's, just pointing it out, right, you can barely see it, but right on the barcode right at the top, it says parental advisory.
Oh, that's so small. Usually it's black in a box above it. I think they know that no parent, every kid's going to be like, Mom, it's fine. Maybe they're like, there's a bunch of dead bodies on the front cover and the logos all got red on it. Surely everyone on the planet knows better now, but maybe no. Mommy, he killed Spider-Man.
Oh, man. So Daredevil fans are eating very good this year. We've got like Born Again, and we also have this book, Daredevil, Cold Day in Hell. You see an older Matt Murdock where something bad happened in the world. Like there's some sort of events that's going on, and in the first couple of pages, you immediately just go like, wait, what? I need to know what led to the situation. And yeah, it's good to see Charles Soule writing Daredevil again. Something I was very happy about when this book was announced. See, on the cover says one of three, so it'll be a mini series, and I'm just curious about how he'll like wrap it up, and I am very, very curious to see other characters make their appearance, because there are two in here that you're just like, oh my gosh. One in particular I think will make you very happy. If you know, you know, about Jim lore. Old Man Murdock, exactly. Hey,
Nick.
It's like I got Spider-Man Rain vibes from it, and I don't want to say like your mileage may vary of enjoyment if you however your thoughts are on that series, but yeah, it's gonna be a pretty grim story, but yeah.
Not beating McNiven. You're saying that the best Daredevil story is McNiven? Warlord?
Oh, I mean, it's very true.
I'd pick Zdarsky, but that's just me.
That's why it's very good. The art is fantastic in this book, by the way.
I'm not gonna have a fight with anybody over Daredevil.
Saw an old woman, Harley Quinn, Spook Logan, yeah.
Yes, he means old man Logan. We just need all the old man. Would you guys watch an old man, whatever, Marvel movie? Because they've introduced a lot of them.
100%.
Because we already like Logan. We already know we like Logan, right? So we already like old man Wolverine. And I hope you guys picked up Avengers Twilight. That was a short series that came out last year. It's my favorite thing that appeared all year long, even though I loved a great many things. It just had that Kingdom Come vibe, same level of art. And just to see Steve Rogers that has given up the super serum healing factor, so he's aged. To see him realize that despite all he gave up for, humankind, everybody else, that they still won't even vote for him for a regular office. Like they're just like, nope, you destroyed my brother's house when you were trying to, fight off Hydra. Okay. Not vote for you. Nah.
Your shield destroyed my car. I'm not voting for you.
All right. So if you've been reading this storyline, they started out in the courtroom, right? There was an attack. There's 4 people that disappear from the room during the attack in which Venom shows up. So the idea is it has to be one of those 4 people. So it's always been either Robbie Robertson, Madam Mask, Luke Cage, or Rick Jones. Is that right? So there's been lots of storyline that's happened. It's really, really important to really Dylan Brock to find out who is the Venom that is in this suit. There is, in the last couple of issues, you've seen that Sleeper, who is now a sleeper agent, that's really creative, if you ask me. Like, we have Sleeper, who's like a Venom symbiote that looks like a cat, but that can make you forget everything. Hence, sleeper agent is part of this. So it's, you get to see Venom do stuff, you get to see the sleeper agent do stuff, sometimes a little bit independent of each other. You get to also see previous issues. You saw that Robbie was not Venom, or at least they seem to say such things. He was definitely not. He shows up at somebody's apartment and has a discussion with their significant other. He's already figured it out. So you get to experience the story through him telling this other person, you had to have known this. You had to have known this. How could you have not known this? But it also makes me respect Robbie Robinson is like maybe he's more sleuthy than I thought. Maybe if you're a newsman, you just know things. So this has been great. I thought I'd be really pissed off if it wasn't the person I thought it was, but I think that was the first person they said, nope, it's not them. I had it pegged as being Luke Cage because it's Luke Cage's colors. I was like, oh, I guess that'd have been way too easy. So yeah, it's a fun ride. I'm not mad at it. I like the way it's revealed.
Ooh, Plague House. So ghost hunting stories are always fun, and this one is got like all the tropes of like what you would see in like a ghost hunting show, right? You have the believer, you have the skeptic, and you have the one that's a little bit more in tune to the spiritual, I guess, activity that's going on in the house. This issue is very much like a lot of number ones. It's a introduction issue to these characters. Something about this book that I really liked. I liked the art style of it. It was just very grungy and just kind of like dirty almost. But it fit the tone of the book so well. The way that this ends is very, very interesting. So I don't think it's a spoiler, but there are some time skips in this issue. The final time skip, something went wrong, and at the end of it, it's like, well, wait a second, like they were ghost hunting, just like normal ghost hunters. How did it end up in this situation?
No, that's the ghost.
Yeah, honestly, whatever ghost this was, it is something, and the person who's more in tune to like the spirits and the ghosts, his whole deal is very, very interesting, and their first hunt that you see, I guess, in this house, it is very dark, very, very violent. I'm not sure if there is a content warning for this book, but definitely kind of keep that in mind. It's very graphic, but yeah, if you like horror, definitely check this book out. And there's also been a lot of good horror titles like recently, which I absolutely love and adore.
Oh yeah.
It's a good
We reached the end. We did so good. Try not to be spoilery for your friends, especially not ones who are on this show. Remember, we try to run a spoiler-free show. So if you hear things on the internet, please don't come and post them on the show. We want people to be able to at least have some kind of chance at being like, oh, I'm surprised because I avoided all the social media except for I watched this spoiler-free show and someone spoiled something for me. So please don't be that person. I love you to death that you love to know the things first, but just let other people have joy too, please. Remember, if you are out and about and you're looking for a comic book store and you are in a place that you are not usually, or if you just moved, or if you'd like to go on a vacation, use comicshoplocator.com. That's still going to operate for as long as I know. They haven't said that it was going to be pulled down. And if it does, we'll start telling you about an alternative one that's being made for just in case. So you'll always have access for where are comic shops near me. And just like always, do call ahead and see if they may have different special hours, if it's kind of maybe a holiday. And also sometimes people forget to update their stuff on the site because some people like me have been on it for 20-something years and may never changed anything. Probably has our old address on there, honestly. So don't be surprised if we show up in Oak Ridge North and we're not there. What else? I really love getting to read every week. I will tell you, 30 years in, I think that we have never had, like, people complain about Marvel and DC a bit, but I don't think I've ever been enjoying reading Marvel and DC both as much as I do right now. I think this is something really special we've got. It's okay that they're not main universe things that we love the most about it, but these are our companies that are making this to make us happy. So go out there and be positive about it. We don't all have to love the same things, but be a friend.
And there's so much variety in comics, like the amount of independent books out there. Like if something's not your thing, I promise you there is a title out there. There is a creator out there that's for you. That's perfect for you.
Oh yeah.
So,
our favorite thing today.
Real
Yes,
quick before we bounce, coming up next, Rich is not going to be there tonight, but I believe AJ is going to be running the show. So make sure you stay tuned for Welcome to Wonderland and catch Miss Jen on the CBSN. Then after that, we got Henri, kicking it with Henri. Tomorrow, 7 Eastern, 6 Central, we'll have the 1 hour of power with Rex with Comic Collectibles. 8 Eastern, 7 Central, hop over to Triple B's channel, check out his live show that he does. Then come back to the EXP. Instead of a Kyle and J Q&A, we are going to be doing a sales show. And here's some of the books. This is, Kyle said there's 3 short boxes, 5 to 10 trades, plus single issues. It was delayed the last couple of days because Kyle was under the weather, but this will be at 9 Eastern, 8 Central tomorrow on The Experience.
Got the poison in it. Dang on, man. Scott Pilgrim, you guys better come ready to fight because I might be on that show. Bye. Thanks. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here this week. We'll see you guys next week for more Minute to Skim It from me and Shanie. See you later.
Join the party. Head over to our Linktree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.